This holiday season, every time you purchase a 12-ounce SnortBucks coffee, a portion of the proceeds will be given to the Panda Foundation, the world's premier charity dedicated to helping down-on-their-luck content creators pay their daily bills.
I need that money. I really do. I need that money. I need my bills, the electric bill, the internet bill.
So stop by your local SnortBucks today and help send some penne their way.
Still working on that transition. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. This is DSP News, the unreliable ones. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the newsroom and welcome to the Goutopia News Network, your unreliable source for DSP News. This is the Snort Report brought to you by SnortBucks Coffee Company, the best beverage company. Let's go. Sorry, I forgot to mention storefront again. I'm working on it. Don't judge me. Hopefully you guys are doing all right. Continuing my campaign, as it were. So, trying to put out content and whatnot and get a fresh perspective from you guys, kind of see where you guys are at. Where have you guys thought about? What are you guys thinking about as it pertains to the DSP Detractor community, Phil as a whole, some of the supporting cast that has made an appearance? At the time that I'm recording this, there's rumblings about DSP politics. I haven't gotten into that yet, but I will speak on it probably the broadcast or two before that actually happens. So that's a thing. So look out for that when that comes about. It's gonna be always late, never breaking, as you guys know. It's got to stick with the brand, right? But we're not here for that today. Today we're gonna talk about DSP dunking on LOLCOW Live. This was back in July, I believe. Actually, if you give me just a second, let me get to my notes. Let's see. Yeah, this was back in July. July 25th, actually, of 2024, our current year of gout and failure. Now, of course, things have changed since then. DSP is actively trying to, he thinks he has Wings lined up, but he's not sure if Wings is going to show up. He wants to get Boogie. He's already had Keem. He doesn't seem to want to contribute anything to LOLCOW Live himself, but he wants to reap all the benefits from them coming onto his platform and whatnot, and trying to help build his redemption arc or what he believes is. There's a bunch of different segments of this that has happened over the last 10 months or whatever. Well, actually last like 4 or 5 months, truth be told. So I'll tackle those as I see fit. I'll split it up a little bit. But it's one of the reasons why I have the date. I asked them to put the date in the thumbnail as well as the title, so you guys can kind of know and you can cross-reference as you need to. Anyway, we're going to go back to July. We're going to see what DSP thought about. Because remember, theoretically, DSP's redemption arc didn't happen until, middle of August? So we'll see what he was thinking back in July, and we'll see how resistant he is, and we'll just see how much of a hypocrite he is. You shouldn't close your options when it comes to, you should never close yourself off from options, because you never know when another opportunity comes about. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and transition before I start giving my words of wisdom. Let's go ahead and transition to one of our favorite segments of this whole news broadcast thing, if you will. welcome to my TED Talk. I think DSP is a closed-minded individual which hints really reinforces why he's failed at everything. He wants to deal in absolutes unless it has something to do with him, and then the benefit of the doubt needs to be given. Wiggle room should be given. Certain concessions or considerations should be given. And that's not how this works. If you're gonna do anything on the internet at any given time, you're gonna make enemies. You're gonna make allies. If you're fortunate, you may even make some friends. But friends turn into enemies just as quickly as enemies turn into friends. But in truth, everybody is just an associate. Everybody can be worked out with, business arrangements can be made, and that's what DSP is kind of supposed to be in this for business. You and Keem not getting along or not working out works in the exact same way in some ways, and how frenemies, you guys know, that's what's that, Ethan and fucking Ela and shit from H3H Productions. When he did frenemies with Trisha Paytas, I mean, it was not just their personal charismatic or personal charisma, but the fact that they did have problems with each other, like real problems, and they did for a number of years. And they came together to put together, at least for a time, a very popular show. Now, of course, Trisha marrying into Ela's family, with his actually Ethan's family as well, probably didn't help things. But the point is they were able to take the animosity against each other and bring it onto a platform where there was not just only cross-pollination amongst their audience, but also they played up to some of the issues that they had, and that really came through in the content and some of their points and whatnot. But at the end of the day, though, too, they could find commonalities, and they were able to move off of it. And honestly, I honestly think that's one of the things, I should say, it's one of the many things that Keem was really banking on, is bringing DSP up there, having animosity or issues with all three of the guys that were on there at the time, Keem, Boogie, and Wings. He thought he could have himself a little frenemy type situation going on within LOLCOW Live and or LOLCOW Podcast, as long as he could get DSP to play ball. And that's really what it comes down to, and that's what it's always come down to, getting DSP to play ball. And it's funny because he wants to rag on LTG for not wanting to come to the table, not understanding this whole hater LOLCOW type shit and wanting to play ball with him, but he wasn't willing to do it with Keem and Boogie, and with Keem, Boogie, and Wings. But that makes it even more ironic. Hear me out. Let me cook. DSP in this particular segment is going to say everything they do over there on LOLCOW Live is a work. Everything is a skit. It's not real. But theoretically, that's the same bullshit you try to pull with LTG. Because when you got mad at LTG for not wanting to play ball with you, you said he doesn't understand this internet thing. He doesn't understand, how this whole hater stuff works or whatever. Basically, you were trying to lay out to him that, hey, this is about trying to be entertaining. Let's just come up here and play on the issues that we have and maybe even play it up. But at the end of it, we'll show the whole audience that we're cool and everything so we can both eat. So isn't that a work? Just like what LOLCOW Live allegedly does? Semantics. Either which way, let's go ahead and jump into the video. Hopefully, as the video goes along, you guys see some of my points or whatnot. Maybe you won't and whatnot. That's what the comment section's for. You can let me know either which way. Having a good time doing this. Big ups to everybody who's hit up the comment section or whatever. For those of you from the streaming channel, I do expect to be back there soon and whatnot because I need to try to balance both. I want to see if I want to be able to make content and get that out, a couple days or a few days a week over here. But I also want to still continue streaming, and I stream usually once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, whenever I feel it. But don't think I'm giving up on streaming, because what I'm learning over there on the streaming channel obviously benefits here, because I want to do live Snort Report broadcasts at least once a week. I'll actually stream it, so it all kind of blends together. You'll see the method of my madness eventually, and continuing to push the brand as a whole, but also keeping the boot on DSP's motherfucking neck and keeping the pressure on it all night and keep applying. So that's the narrative that I decide to go with. Thank you guys very much for all that. Give me just a second and we'll just go ahead and transition into this. Let's see here. And let me go ahead and SnortBucks is flowing, so we'll be passing that out. Let's go ahead and set up the chessboard because that's what we're doing currently. Here's the video in question. Actually, let me mute that. You guys don't hear that annoying piece. That up.
Okay.
All right. Now, as you guys know, this is brought to us. Well, there's a lot of people that I could use in this to contribute to the situation. But big ups to Rawphil for coming through on the plug and whatnot. This is where the segment comes from. So let's go ahead and let me read this out to you guys one more time and then let's actually get into it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're here with Rawphil. Let's see. Darksydephil dunks on Keemstar and LOLCOW Live. This is from July 25th of 2023. There won't be a link down in the description because I don't have the URL currently. I think Rawphil has like a BitChute though, or a BitChute account, so we can check that out. But obviously, when you see source videos, you'll see his name there because big ups to him and Dark Dave Mears. And you know what I'm saying? Let's stop all the talking and get to the talking. Here we go.
Okay. Okay, the last thing, and this one, I'm going to rely heavily on you guys, all right? So as you guys know, I have absolutely no association whatsoever with Keemstar or anything he's involved in, all right? Last year, there was talk that I would do a podcast with Boogie and Wings, but it would be our podcast, meaning the three of us would do a podcast together. And then both of those guys literally sold out and signed up with Keemstar to do a drama podcast called The LOLCOW Show or The LOLCOW Cast or whatever it is, where essentially the purpose of the show is they get bullied all day.
Well, that was going to always be the purpose. You guys were going to make stupid takes and people were going to be able to ridicule you guys for your profit, for your benefit, and for our entertainment. So that was always going to be the thing. That was always the narrative. But let's cut back for a minute. You said that the three of you were going to come together to have a podcast. But Keem was the one who was organizing that podcast, kind of, sort of. You guys have watched my 2 videos on LOLCOW podcast, aka LOLCOW Live. You guys know how that all fell apart. I have a follow-up to all that too, because there's still so much more to pick out of all that. But essentially, it was Keem who brought all that up. It was Keem who was going to provide the direction. It was Keem that was going to bring the sponsorships and the endorsements. It was Keem that was going to put up the money. The three of you weren't going to do shit. The three of you were employees, and you were going to sit down, do what he says. You were going to go over the notes that his newsroom was going to essentially display to you guys or put in front of you guys, and you were going to read from the motherfucking script. It was always meant to be that way. Because the three of you couldn't organize yourselves out of a paper bag. One of you ain't already fucked up a marriage, another one's in a fake marriage, and the third one's about to lose their marriage. So you guys can't even get your own lives right. Hence the reason why y'all need Keem. That's the whole reason why LOLCOW Live is the way it is. Because Keem didn't fucking do what he needed to do with LOLCOW Podcast, lost that shit. Now LOLCOW Live exists. And he literally has to be at the helm of it because Wings and fucking Boogie are too lazy, too stupid, and too inept to do anything on their own. That's why Boogie, and Boogie being one of the more submissive ones of it, is really the co-host of that show. It's LOLCOW Live is really Boogie and Keemstar. Wings is just there because he's hyped up on his Lexapro, because his fucking testosterone's down, whatever the fuck. That dude's useless. He's as useless on LOLCOW Live as he is on his actual podcast or on his actual streams. Just absolute waste of fucking space. And he knows it. And he knows deep down he knows it. And the thing is he can dunk on Boogie a little bit, but Boogie can dunk back. He's not willing to really, Wings is not really willing to go at fucking Keem because Keem signs his paychecks. That's why they needed DSP. Because because Wings could not only have some actual camaraderie, or at least he believes he could have some camaraderie with DSP, but also he can kind of go back and forth with him a little bit. The truth is he can't. That's the reason why DSP is going to fail at DSP politics, because the dude don't know how to banter. That's his major problem. Those guys throw zingers at each other all the fucking time on LOLCOW Live. I don't know if DSP can handle all that. Now, most of you are going to say, well, wait, GTG, isn't that what happens on Kino? No, Kino is DSP on his fucking knees like the good whore, like his sister-in-law, with his mouth open, willing to take whatever PPP and fucking Andy's willing to put in it. That's what it is. Now, on LOLCOW Live, he may actually have to try to fight for himself a bit. He may have to actually make a point. And I don't think he's built for that. And despite the fact that DSP is completely and utterly driven by negativity, I don't think he can really hold a candle to those guys. And I think DSP knows that. I think that's the reason why DSP doesn't want them up there. DSP wants them on his own platform because he can have his own little safe space. He can feel safe and whatnot and feel like he's in control. If he's on LOLCOW Live, even if he owns a 1/4% of it, he's at the mercy of Keem. Theoretically, he's at the mercy of Boogie and Wings too. You know what I'm saying? And if you want even more justification that LOLCOW Live, LOLCOW podcast would have never worked, look at him like Kino Casino. He's useless. He doesn't say shit up there. He says a whole lot of nothing. It's literally word salad, empty calories, bloat, whatever you, phantom bloat, really. Whatever you want to call it, that's what DSP contributes to that. And he's vying to be a third seat over there. Not even have ownership, not even get a percentage, but to be a third seat over there. What the fuck do you think he's going to do on a platform where he would have ownership, where he would actually have a say, where he could get a percentage of the profits? You really think he's just going to shape his shit up? Nah, he can't. He can't even do it on his own fucking platform. DSP is worthless. Legitimately. If it wasn't for detractors, trolls, haters, and critics, he would fade out in some way, shape, or form. But truth be told, someone else will always show up to take the place of whatever detractor that falls. Or choose to step away from the game, or whatever you want to call it. So DSP will always have detractors. And as long as DSP is willing to address said detractors, there's no reason to stop. There's no reason to stop. So how is it that... So let's look at the even bigger picture, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? Let's look at the bigger picture. Darksydephil has chosen to step away from $50,000, a 1/4% of an actual show, and a 1/4% of all of the super chats and super thanks and memberships and everything that generates, right? He walked away from a $50,000 advancement, ownership, actual ownership, and then the residuals that comes from all of that, to be the third fiddle, to be the third seat on another show that they really don't really want him on there. They want him on in small bursts. They don't want him on there consistently. Tell me how that makes sense. And it don't. The reason why it doesn't add up to dollars is because it doesn't make a lick of goddamn sense. So if this idiot is that stupid, given the scenario that I just threw out to you, what good is he to Kino? If he's willing to make bad decisions for himself, just imagine the devastation that he could put on Kino Casino if he was on there 4 or 5 days a week. You know what I'm saying? You got to really put that together. You know what I'm saying? DSP can't see that because he's an idiot. DSP's pay pigs, fucking whales, and dents aren't going to see that because they're dents. He really doesn't have any value unless he can somehow shape it up. And he can't. He's comfortable. Because he's comfortable, he's complacent. Because he's complacent, he's compromised. And that's what it really comes down to, ladies and gentlemen. It's compromised. But some of these guys out here, Keem in particular, sees value in that. He still sees value in him being compromised. So theoretically, DSP, quote unquote, having this delusion that the internet does like him, he is having a second chance at being popular or being well known or being recognized or whatever, theoretically helps Keem. Because sooner than later, DSP may very well end up on LOLCOW Live. Once Kino's is done with him, once the internet's never really changed, but once DSP comes to the realization that the internet really didn't do anything for him, he may crawl back to Keem. The 50,000 won't be there. I don't know if ownership would even be there. Theoretically, Keem could slave him out for a while and see what's what. He could theoretically have DSP on the show and on LOLCOW Live and not pay him a lick. And why not? Keem could easily turn around and say, hey, buddy, excuse me, hey, buddy, that's a SnortBucks, man. SnortBucks is great, but yeah, it's starting to hit me a little bit. Keem could easily say, hey, buddy, you were over there on Kino Casino how many times? Did you get paid over there? No, you got exposure, though, right? Well, that's what LOLCOW Live's going to do. So I have no reason to sit there and go ahead and pay you anything because you did it for free over there. Why can't you do it for free over here? Just something to think about. Like really, really something to take into consideration.
A bunch of people who call farmers go on there and make fun of them constantly, and they just stand there and take it and get paid money to do it. It's a vile show. It's a disgusting show. It's exactly what I thought it was. It's complete and utter fabricated drama. All right? It's mostly fabricated. Like, almost everything on that show is scripted, 100%, done ahead of time. They already know what they're going to say and do. They do these fake sides. Oh, I'm going to quit the show. No, I'm going to quit the show. Oh, he quit. Oh, he's back. Oh, he quit. Oh, he's back. It's 100% fabricated. It's just as fake as shitty reality TV. But the people who watch the show are mental morons.
Now, yet again, it's supposed to be about entertainment, first off and foremost. Now, is some of it a work? Probably. Probably. Now, them putting up news stories or whatever, that's called being prepared. They have to have something to talk about. What are they supposed to do? Phil, go online immediately and do it? Then that means everything that you did is fabricated, because you go on Twitter literally hours beforehand, before you used to come up with your DSP news segments or whatever gay-ass dumb shit that was and whatnot. We abandoned that because that shit was a failure, damn near. And so theoretically, all of your reactions to all of that news stuff was fabricated anyway. Matter of fact, we all know it was, because if you really go back and look at the threads where he basically formed his opinion, if you look at the tweets that were under it, all he did was pretty much copy paste that shit, and he just worded it differently. So most of the opinions on DSPN wasn't even his own opinions. It's stuff that he took from Twitter. But semantics, those of you who know that, you know that. So them being prepared with stories is one thing. Whether the shit's a work or not, probably. But yet again, it's entertaining. That's what it comes down to. It's entertaining. DSP's so hung up on this nonsense about being meaningful and whatever the fuck. No one gives a fuck about that shit. Is it entertaining? And that's DSP's problem. He's not entertaining. He never was. That's why this is how you don't play beat the fuck out of him and still mentally fucking lives in his head rent-free. He couldn't get over the fact that his stupidity, his ineptitude, his ignorance was funny to people. More importantly than that was the fact that it's always hilarious hearing a dumb person think and act like they're smart and or normal, when in actuality they're the furthest thing from it. And he hates that, because he knows he's not normal. He knows he's some fucking weirdo who just merely exists. And he can't live with it. He can't stand it. So whether whether LOLCOW Live is a work or not is irrelevant for most people. Are they entertained? And DSP's never been an entertainer. At least not purposely. At least not on purpose.
They think it's legit. They're just complete moronic idiots.
And then there's my second point. How are you going to insult the very people that you're trying to convert? Like, what sense does that make? And I've talked about this before, but let me reinforce it now. If I'm trying to convert a group of people to at least give me the chance, not even convert, if I'm trying to just get people to hear me out, it doesn't make any sense to me, and it doesn't benefit me to insult those people. So, for example, let's say there's a detractor out there that I don't fuck with. Just because you watch their content doesn't mean that I have a reason to judge you. I may not fuck with that person, but I don't have a problem with you. So me judging you doesn't do anything. All it does is reinforce your loyalty to them. You'll never hear me out. You may never give me a chance to actually hear my points of view. You may have never been able to do that in the first place, but at least I didn't alienate you. You know what I'm saying? I extended that much respect to you. I didn't single you out because you're a fan of this person or this group or whatever, right? You know what I'm saying? With a Dent, that's different. They're Dents. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to treat them any which way I want. On top of the fact that I'm not trying to convert a Dent. I'm not trying to get a Dent to come over to fucking Goutopia, come over here to GTG Network and Productions, to even come over here to Detractors. I'm not even here for none of that. You know what I'm saying? None of that at all. You idiots want to go ahead and put yourselves into bankruptcy for the 4th or 5th time? Fine. You idiots want to keep riding public buses because you had the money to actually get yourself a car and you kept giving it to Phil to support his ass, and now you're still riding public transportation? That's on your ass. You want to sit there and give up your kids' college fund and whatnot, or give up money from their college fund so you can fund and support Phil? That's on your ass. If you want to give your dead wife's insurance money to Darksydephil to take care of his ass, that's on your ass. If you want to, like, I can just go down the gambit, because all of that's true, by the way. That's all real shit that some of these dents have done over the history of DSP. If you want to go ahead and fuck your life up in all those ways, go right ahead. I'm going to laugh at you for every second of it. I'm gonna laugh at you for every second of it. And by right of succession, of conquest, of authority, I can do so, just like anybody else. So end the story. And this is one of the reasons why this idiot will never be able to get a foothold in anywhere outside of that roach nest, which is the Snort Fort. Because he ain't sat there and not just talk shit about people, but the people who support those people. The very people that he should be trying to convince to give him a chance. He alienated them just like how he alienated the person that followed them. Or that they follow, I should say. And that's why he can never get a foothold in anywhere. That's the reason why everything he tries to do to try to change doesn't ever work. He's failed himself. You can't just treat people like shit and think that they're just going to wake up and just come over to your cause. It doesn't work that way. If you can't appeal to people's sensibility, to their common sense, to their reason, without putting them down, and you're trying to do this on purpose, you're failing yourself. You're failing yourself. You don't see any detractors out here trying to court dents. Why? You're already a dent. You're already a lost cause. Fuck I need to do wasting my time trying to bring you over here and try to show you the light. Fuck all that. You can sit out there and starve with this asshole for all I care. I mean, truth be told, he's going to cannibalize you guys before he starves anyway. So who gives a shit? And most of you guys can't go anywhere anyway because most of you guys have all kinds of strange ass shit in your closets, right? That if any of that shit got exposed, you're either going to get run off out of his community or you're just going to be like Derek and you're just going to be sitting in the shadows on some sock account or some shit. The only reason why you're over there with DSP is because you're unwanted or you're unwilling to branch out and go and do something else somewhere else. You don't see the value in yourself. That's the reason why DSP is allowed to treat you guys like shit. The reason why he'll keep treating you like shit. From the first dent that he's ever had till the last. Literally from dent to the grave. And that's where you guys are going to be. End of story. No one needs to waste their time trying to help that. To be honest. Especially if you're not willing to help yourself.
To think that anything there would be real. Okay? But the truth is, I never want to be involved in that kind of drama content anyway. Right? Ever. That's why I said I'm not involved with this show. You know,
but we don't mind being on LOLCOW Live, though, right? We don't mind taking shots at LOLCOW Live's, like, easy targets or their enemies at any given time, right? Cog, Ethan Ralph. He took some shots at Ricada, kind of. Took shots at Rich. You know what I'm saying? LOLCOW's cannibalizing other LOLCOWs. You didn't mind doing all that. I mean, truth be told, you could say he's been taking shots at Review Tech for a long time. While also trying to masquerade that he was above Rich's insults, even though that was pissing him off too. Whatever, let's continue.
Keemstar couldn't even legitimately contact me and offer me a real spot on the show. He demanded on Twitter that I...
Whoa, wait. We're already lying about this bullshit. First off and foremost, he tried to reach out to you on Twitter. He couldn't because you had him blocked. You weren't even using Discord at that time. Well, that's a lie. You were using Discord, but you didn't know how to use Discord, so talking to Keem on Discord wasn't a thing. And he tried to show up to one of your streams and say, hey, could a conversation be had? And you basically ignored it and then victimized yourself like the usual bitch that you are. And then when he reached out to you over the phone and whatnot, you know what I'm saying, he tried to set up something with you, then you purposely ignored his call to get him more riled up. And then it ended up bleeding over on fucking Side Scroller interview. You knew that you were trying to antagonize Keem so you could make yourself out to be the victim. And it didn't pan out. Keem benefited from the Side Scroller interview, more than you did, which is another reason why you hate Craig. You hate Craig because not only did he platform Keem, but he also let him on to your fucking interrogation, and then he actually came out looking somewhat reasonable. And you just came out looking like a dent. Fucking hermit, a fucking shut-in, who has no clue on how the world works, because you don't know how the world works.
I accept a $50K offer to be on the show before he even spoke with me. Like, he's making demands.
How was he demanding you to take his money? Make that make sense. I want you to think about that for a minute. He was out here bullying DSP to take his 50 grand. That's why Phil has his head down, because he knows how stupid that sounds. How the fuck does someone bully you to taking their money? That sounds like the you know what that sounds like? You want to know what retardation that shit sounds like? That sounds like the dumb shit that was propagated back during the Smash community and the fucking Panda Global situation. That's what that sounds like. That same dumb shit that people like Ludwig and fucking Moist Critical propagated until that shit ain't blown up in their damn face. That's what that dumb shit fucking sounds like. And now they have to deal with some of the weirdos that are over there in that particular community, and now it's making their asses look silly. I'll get in on that later, because I've been wanting to go ahead and fire some shots off over that nonsense for a minute. I'm not saying that Panda Global did everything right, but I'll be damned if it's true that if I'm going to sit back and say that it was true that they did everything wrong. Having all these little bitches run around saying, they're bullying us to take their money. You bully somebody into taking their money. Make it make sense. And then most of those same guys who cried that bullshit turned out to be con artists and were fucking over that very community in the first place. And now most of them aren't even around anymore. Imagine that. Imagine that. And then you got this community, that same community, that has all these incredibly talented players that either have to try to cross over the other games or just gave up Smash altogether because they ain't sat around and didn't say shit. They weren't man enough, they weren't woman enough or whatever to stand up on business and be like, yo, that's not necessarily true. Instead, they became followers and they let shit just happen, and then they fucked themselves out of sponsorships. They fucked themselves out of endorsements. They fucked themselves from being on actual pro teams and actually collecting a paycheck and making a living. Imagine that. All right, let me stop. Let me stop. Oh, because I'm big mad about that. Let me stop. I'll do a whole set of videos on that nonsense, because when you really delve into that Panda Global situation and you see the fuck boy shit that went on in that, it makes you question how much does Moist Critical really give a shit about the Smash community or about esports in general? How much does Ludwig really give a shit, or Ludwig, whatever? How much does he really give a fuck about fucking esports or the Smash community? It makes you think. And Ludwig's in bed with fucking with Leffen. That also makes you think. That also kind of makes you wonder. Or if he's not in bed with him, he's adjacent to him. He's close to him. Anyway, semantics.
Demanded on Twitter that I accept a $50K offer to be on the show before he even spoke with me. Like, he's making demands.
Look at him dropping his head like a bitch. Look at him dropping his head out of embarrassment because he knows it sounds stupid. He knows it sounds stupid. He knows that he tried to victimize himself to try to make Keem look bad, and it didn't go that way. Because people in Phil's own audience within the Roach Nest was like, the fuck? Why would you turn down the 50 grand? You said you need the money, so you're okay with bleeding your dents day to day, but you won't take this opportunity to get this $50,000 and get ownership into something? And that's why he's got his head down. Coward behavior. Shame. And one of the few demonstrations of it, actual shame. Because he knows how stupid that shit sounds. But you got to be committed to the bit. You got to be committed to the victimhood. If not, it don't work.
The last 2 years, he's tried to harass me by saying he was going to contact my friends and family and do a negative Netflix documentary about me. This guy's nuts. Okay.
Well, that wasn't going to really work out anyway because you have no friends. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure Dave and Linda would have tried to go to bat for you as much as they could until the evidence gets presented to them that Keem's group would have, or Keem's team would have certainly have put together in a package. That would have been very hard for them to look at. You know what I'm saying? Like, you should be very glad that Keem didn't have the fucking balls to actually go out there and commit to that shit. Because if he had, how the fuck is Dave and Linda going to sit there and look at a 10-minute video package of all the vile shit that you've said? And they have to look up at them. They have to look up at each other and then look at whoever's across the table, possibly Keem, and be like, yeah, that's our son. How is that going to work? How the fuck are you going to explain that to them? Oh, it's taken out of context. That's not really what happened. It's I didn't mean that. Like, what? You're going to give them the same spiel that you give your dents? Think about that. Really take that into consideration in an alternative timeline. If something like that had actually happened. Really makes you think.
He's a fucking asshole. He's a piece of garbage. I want nothing to do with this man. All right? I've made this abundantly clear over the last 2 years. I want nothing to do with Keemstar whatsoever.
Want nothing to do with him. Been feeling like this for the last 2 years. Next month over, Keem's on the fucking Bottom Bitch podcast. Is on the daily therapy session. You know what I'm saying? On the Level 1 podcast that Keem coined, by the way. Imagine that. The hypocrisy. Oh, baby, the hypocrisy.
All right, at all. You guys keep coming on my streams and bringing it up. And I keep telling you, guys, every time that you bring this shit up, you are literally feeding into the hands of these drama bitches. You understand that? Because that's all they are. They're bitches. They make up shit so that gullible, dumb people will talk about it, watch it, and give them money for it. Okay? If you watch the show, if you talk about the show, if you care about the show, you fell for the trap, you're a gullible idiot, and all they care about is milking you for money and views. That's it. They don't want to make legit content. If they did, they'd make a legit show. They haven't done that at all. They don't.
Is Kino Casino a legit show? Which is basically and utterly drama-based, right? Some of the, I don't know if I could say that they lie about everything, but some of the shit's definitely skewed. Entertaining, though, but some of the shit's actually skewed. So what's the difference? Because Kino Casino was willing to fucking prop your ass up and build your confidence up and shit, and you can't get Keem to lick your ass? Which one was it? I'm just asking. I'm just asking.
Don't care about that. They just care about the money. All right? So I don't know why anyone would care about this show in my audience. If you have a brain between these two ears in your head, you should never watch it. You should never discuss it. You should never give it a moment of your time.
Well, Jade, and I'm going to send this out to him directly. Hey, Jade, what the fuck you doing spending your time doing this shit? Right? You seem like you actually give a fuck about gaming. There are plenty of gaming content creators out there that you could follow that certainly would have a tremendous amount of respect for you. Why do you spend all your time with this idiot? Because your mom is fucking the guy who's fucking the editor-in-chief at fucking Game Informer magazine? Like, DSP, if DSP actually knows that, which I'm pretty sure he does, I mean, Game Informer is never going to do a fucking spread on him. You know what I'm saying? I doubt they'll ever give him an article, let alone the people who read it would even know who Darksydephil is. Yet again, it's a niche type thing. So I wonder what keeps Jade around. I wonder why DSP really keeps you around, and I wonder, as you should too, Jade, are there ulterior motives of keeping you around? I don't know. Maybe I'm being too harsh on you, because over the last few months, at least over the span of this year, you have shown a willingness to walk away from this shit if you don't like the content. Mainly the drama. You seem to be very much allergic to or averse to drama. So I don't know. It makes me wonder. I don't want to get into the head of a Dent, because no matter what, Jade, you're still a Dent. But I am curious. I am wondering about that. I don't know. I'll leave that to a more sensible detractor to talk to. I'm not going to waste my time on that.
All right? The only reason I'm bringing it up is because for some weird reason, people have been contacting me in the last, 4 days, and they're all saying almost exactly the same thing. Here's what they're saying. Phil, you were completely right about the show all along. The events over there have become incredibly heinous. The show has completely fallen apart. It's awful. And what was the other thing? There was one other thing, too. So,
are you sure? I thought it was so vivid in your head and so many people said it, and you can't keep your own story together? It's weird. It's almost like it was all a lie, and you're just making shit up from your own personal bias. Imagine that. DSP lying to people. Who knew? Who would fathom such a terrible and hypocritical sort of thing? DSP is not a liar. Just because DSP tells you something doesn't mean it's always true. Sometimes he's just going to give you an answer, right? But does that mean that he's a chronological liar? Does that mean he's a pathological liar? I don't know. I don't know. He's willing to lie on himself. He's willing to lie about his past. He's willing to lie about people around him. I don't know. I don't know, Slim.
basically, the weird part about it is,
now we got to fish in the chat, see if someone in chat can go ahead and help him.
people keep writing me and saying this. Like, oh yeah, that's what it is. They're saying they actually admitted on the show publicly that you were right all along about everything. Okay?
But here's the crazy part. If people have been reaching out to you for months on, well, not even months on it. If all these people have allegedly reached out to you saying the exact same shit, why couldn't you get your story right? Why did you have to go fishing into your chat for the fucking tag, right? Or for the additional support. If everything has been said to you so frequently as of late, last 4 days, I should say, right? And it's all so vivid in your head that you feel like talking about it now. I'm not saying that you can't forget shit. I'm not saying that you can misspeak on shit. You do that all the time. But you are making this a point of conjecture. So how did you not have your story right? Give me a reason why I shouldn't think this is a lie. Semantics.
Here's the thing. I don't watch the show. I'm never going to because I'm not a moron.
But that's a lie, though, too. We know you watched the show because you parroted shit that was on there. You said that people have sent you clips from the show, which means what, ladies and gentlemen? You've watched the show. That's like if some idiot was out there saying, oh, I don't know who this person is. I have no clue who they are. I've never watched any of this shit. And then they say in the next breath, oh, well, people sent me like clips from their shows or whatever. Yeah, I've seen clips and everything. So you have watched it. Either which way, you can go ahead and play with any little like figs of like you can play with any little tidbits you want to make it seem like you didn't overcommit to the situation or not. If someone has sent you clips of somebody's podcast or someone's video, you've watched it theoretically, or you've at least seen enough of it to understand what they do. Get the fuck out of here! A classic DSP fucking answer.
Anyone who
A classic LOLCOW answer, to be honest.
watches it is a fucking moron. That's my opinion. You can disagree with me. I think anyone who watches that show is actually like a complete idiot.
Well, if that's the case, why would you care if they disagreed with you or not? That doesn't make any sense. If you've labeled someone as a moron, why the fuck would you care about what their opinion is? They're a moron. Is this yet again you trying to fence it? You trying to get off by insulting someone, but also insulting a group of people, while at the same time trying to keep them in pocket? Especially if some of those same morons and or idiots are in your own audience? Is this a way of you trying to shame those people from not watching the content? That sounds kind of pathetic. They can't go ahead and, watch the content and form their own opinion? That sounds like a hive mind, Phil. That sounds like a bunch of dents. Maybe I'm cutting too close to the... Maybe I'm cutting a little too close to the pork chops to be making statements like that right now.
Okay? There's no one who would watch the show who has intelligence because it's fake. The entire show is fake. Can I repeat that? Ladies and gentlemen, the entire LOLCOW podcast, LOLCOW Live, whatever the fuck it's called, is fake. It's scripted, you idiots. How could you fall for it and think any of that is real? You'd have to be a dunce. So congrats to how many member viewers they're getting every time that they stream it. It's a fake show, you idiots.
And why? And here's him with his smug grin because he feels like he's doing something. It's probably his dopamine hit. But yet, when those same people go ahead and back his detractors, and then the detractors, trolls, haters, and critics shit on his ass, then he gets even more butthurt. Like, why won't you guys give me the time of day? Why won't you guys actually give me a chance to get my point out? Because you ain't sat there and spent the week before and whatnot, or even days before at times, you ain't spent all this time shitting on us. Oh, and then he'll try to backtrack from that. Oh, I didn't mean it that way. I was just saying what I need to say to get my point across. Because this idiot is a mark for himself, and he treats this shit like this is like 24/7 wrestling. Like this isn't reality. You're talking about and or insulting real people. Real people who you're trying to get money out their goddamn pocket. I can call a fucking dent a dent because I don't give a fuck. I can do that. You can't. You're not in a position where you can do that and or you can afford to do that. That's the difference between any detractor, troll, hater, or critic and fucking Darksydephil. Jesus Christ.
How are you that stupid? I mean, if anything, it just...
This is actually the same dumb shit that got him in trouble with all them boys in the FGC. Which is the reason, over years, I should say. It's been a lot deeper than that, but you know what I mean. It's the same type of nonsense that got him in trouble with dudes in the FGC. It's the same type of behavior that got him in trouble with other streamers on Twitch. Hence the reason why people avoid him. It's one of the same reasons why this idiot can't get interviews with people. Wow. Huh? See, now you guys can see what pigs can do.
There's an incredible group of moronic people on this planet who will fall for anything because they're so stupid, right?
Cope sip.
Now, what I would like...
Matter of fact, why are you drinking that shit out of the bottle anyway? Shouldn't you be drinking that shit out of your fucking piece of shit merch fucking cup? Shouldn't you be doing that? That design that you stole? Well, you probably didn't steal that design. You stole the other one, the Philomania shit. But shouldn't you be drinking your flavored salsa water out of that shit? Oh, have you not washed that cup in a couple days and shit? Is that what it is? You guys, is the dishwasher broken? Is that what it is? Is Kat's fingers too fat that she can't sit there and clean the inside of a cup anymore? All right, I'm just throwing it out there. It's a shame that Jasper's declawed. Maybe if he wasn't, maybe he could actually grip a glass and be able to hold on to the sponge with the other. You know what? Let me stop. I'm being a dick now.
Like to know is why all of a sudden in the last week people are bringing this up with me. Like what?
Who are these phantom people? Are these like the same phantom people that are supposedly part of the minority or the silent majority in your audience and shit that come out to support some games but don't support others? But at that particular time, we couldn't hit a tips goal if it saved our goddamn life. I'm just asking. I mean, you're throwing your hose up in the air trying to make anything stick that supposedly this legion of people are sending you all this information, but you can't send nobody to send you no money. You can't get anybody to fucking help with the fucking tip goal. All right. Fair enough. I guess cold cut sandwiches for everybody in the Burnell household then.
What actually is going on? Because I feel like at some point I do need to be in the know just in case it does have some negative effect on me. What is going on?
What sense does that make? Wait a second. How are you going to say I'm above the drama? I don't care about the drama. None of this means anything to me until something happens that could involve me or something that could be bad for me. So, and if you think about it, within that very snort, he admitted that he does watch the content, let alone that he does keep up with it. He just admitted it because he never knows if something's going to happen that could negatively affect him. How would he know that unless he's watching it? Oh, let me stop. Too much of that forbidden knowledge. That shit gets dangerous, just like forbidden math and whatnot. It gets dangerous when we start delving into situations like that.
What actually is going on? Because I feel like at some point I do need to be in the know just in case it does have some negative effect on me. What is going on over there that people are bringing me up? I have nothing to do with this fucking show and never will. I'm not stupid. I'm not a moron. Okay?
But we don't mind sitting back watching the content just to make sure they're not saying bad things about me that could possibly cause my wife, who's probably already corralled downstairs anyway, to start crying sporadically because bad people are saying bad things about her fucking loser husband on the internet. Right? That makes a whole lot of sense.
You're right. So that I just want to know why am I in being discussed? What actually has happened over there? Can someone clarify?
Look how paranoid he is, actually. Pushing the funny stuff to the side for a minute. Look at how paranoid he is. He's paranoid out of his goddamn mind. And this is the reason why he's not built for the internet. That's why he had to close himself off. See, here's the thing. I've been thinking about this theory for a minute. Why is it that Darksydephil can't leave his house for more than 1 day a week? What's he so scared of? What is it that he's so afraid of, right? This idiot. The internet is what hurts him, right? Allegedly. The internet's what hurts him and hurts his family. It's hurt him mentally, certainly. What it's done to him mentally has affected him physically, right? It's affected him socially as it pertains to his family, meaning that his mom and dad, really. Any relationships with people that he may or may not have had online at any given time. Like, the internet has taken a lot from him. But at the same time, the internet has given him a lot. He ain't poached an underage girlfriend off of it. He ain't poached himself a mentally disabled fucking wife out of that shit, which is really just a roommate, to be honest with you. He's built a legion of idiots that couldn't think themselves out of a wet paper bag, let alone get through life themselves. Instead of detaching himself from the internet that he feels like he has some type of control over, and or he feels like he's accomplished something, he's closed himself off from real life. He's closed himself off from what he feels is the consequences of the dumb shit that he said and done on the internet. That's the reason why he doesn't like leaving his house. That's the reason why he won't leave. He can't go out there and be a normal person and walk around the park or do this or do that unless someone's really with him, right? Which probably begs the differ on the fact that he doesn't actually leave the house. Groceries are always delivered. I've been talking about that for a minute. So is James Alester as well as others. He probably doesn't really go out for anything but gas, to be honest with you. Or unless there's a restaurant that they can't get delivered and they have to go out and get themselves. Other than that, he completely and utterly has shut himself off from reality. That's why he won't go and visit his parents. And the irony of it all is the very thing that has put him in that situation, the very thing that is killing him, is the thing that he's willing to fight for the most, which is the internet. despite the fact that he's less than nothing on the internet. He might still have some value, hypothetically speaking. He may actually have some value out in the real world. Not that he could bring any value to the real world, but he might actually have some value out there. Maybe. But instead, he's so scared that he'll be recognized. So scared that someone will say something to him to embarrass him in IRL, that he's completely and utterly closed himself off, and that's why he's like this. Like, look at, even though the setup's changed since then, look at the setup back then. Look at how he dresses. Look at all of that. He thinks normal people maneuver like this. Think of, like, really take that into consideration. The way he presents himself is the way he believes people carry themselves. If that statement isn't true, then why was it that LTG was so easy? Why is it, let me reword that. Let's remix it. Why was it so easy for LTG to manipulate him in a position off of a backhanded comment? If you really think about it, yeah, LTG was giving him advice, but it was in a backhanded type smack. And DSP went for all of it, hook, line, and sinker. DSP did exactly what LTG told him to do. And why is it that DSP still pursues LTG? Because he wants the payoff. Just like with the Moist Critical situation. Oh, Moist Critical criticized me for my begging, and only now that Moist Critical has pointed that out, that I beg too much, oh, I need to change my ways, I'm going to change my ways. Then we started getting incredibly obsessive and being like, well, Moist Critical, when are you going to interview me now? When can we actually have a talk now? When can you bring me on your show? I did what you wanted me to do, so when are you going to reward me? Same thing with LTG. Think about that. I've said it before, but think about it. Just really think about it.
For me, what is going on that my name is in other people's mouths now and are bringing me up again? Because, by the way, this year has been a great year. If you haven't noticed, no drama. I've literally stayed out of all drama.
That's weird, being that what happened a month later. The hypocrisy is so good. And the thing is, current Phil is constantly fucking over old Phil. And old Phil has to eat it. And that's why I love the lore so much. Because DSP is constantly contradicting himself. And if you just know what to look for, and if you know how to present it to people, not the way I do it, but just if you know how to present it to people, you can really get your point across. There's a reason why detractors, trolls, haters, and critics have persisted for as long as they have. Despite all the gay ops that they do to each other, let alone anybody else, all the infighting and all the lame bullshit that whatever. You know what I'm saying? We still persist. DSP has never really been able to eradicate everybody. And the narrative still continues. When whatever fallen fucking detractor falls or decides to retire, someone else picks up their weapon and continues to push. They'll never be able to stop that. And no one else outside of this shit, let alone inside of it, will ever change that either. And he still hasn't figured that out. That's why he has to keep pushing the narrative now in our current timeline. That the internet loves him, that no one gives a shit about what detractors say anymore. He has nothing to worry about. At least that's what he says. But he knows it's not true. He knows it's not true. And even if it was, the alternative to embracing Phil is to just ignore Phil. And that hurts even worse. That hurts even worse because now there's nobody to blame. When you have detractors, trolls, haters, and critics, when you have SOK, when you have Tevin, when you have whoever the flavor of the day is, you know what I'm saying? He can have someone to point at, if not the group as a whole. But if people just outright ignore him, he has nobody. Now, of course, we'll go ahead and lean on existing wisdom, and he'll just blame everything the detractors did to him going back 10 years or whatever the fuck. But realistically, on the day-to-day, he'll have no one to blame but himself. And the Dents will realize that. And then that's when shit really will get bad for him. That's why when DSP is starved of donations, not attention, but of donations, is the best type of content. Because seeing a desperate DSP is by far probably the most entertaining DSP. Because desperate DSP will cling on to anything. You know what I'm saying? So it's funny how in July, oh, I'm drama free. I've been doing this all year. I don't have no problems. August, September, October, and our current month, November, drama basically runs the day. It almost makes you wonder why he didn't do it sooner. It makes you wonder, all of that meaningful content he was putting out and all that other bullshit sounds like it was a lie. Sounds like it wasn't true. It sounds like it never really existed. It sounds like an opportunistic individual waiting for his opportunity. And he fleeced them. And that's why DSP can run around here saying, yeah, I lied to you, but what's done is done. I said I'm sorry, right? So let's just move on. Just something to think about.
All the drama is fabricated and outside of my streams and content. Any drama, I'm not getting pulled into it. I stayed the fuck out of it on purpose, right? I have no involvement with it whatsoever. I don't want to be involved in it. But I feel like every once in a while, I have to ask what involvement I have. Like, why are people contacting me saying I was right all along? You know, and they admit.
Oh, crazy justification on why he has to indulge in this thing that he's supposedly above and doesn't want anything to do with. Ain't that nuts? He's literally trying to give them a reason on why he's engaging with the drama content right now. Even though he's above it, even though he's been staying away from it all year, and he's better for it. But yet he's trying to tell them and trying to justify why every once in a while he's gonna have to dip his hoof into the fucking drama pond or ocean, if you will, or sea, to go ahead and, you know, just to make his point, just to keep up what's going on, to protect him and his family, or to get the understanding of what the narrative is, what the memes are that are currently being sent to him day after day after day about how you were right about all these people. Like, the mental gymnastics are fantastic. All for what? Just committing to the drama and keep it pushing like he does now? What was all that lying for? What was the point of deceiving all those people for months on, if not years on end? When you damn well knew you wanted to get into this. You were just waiting for an opportunity. Because DSP needs people to like him, right? Or think that he provides value to say anything about anything, which is by far the most pathetic reason to have to, or a pathetic excuse to have a reason to speak your mind. There are plenty of detractors, trolls, haters, and critics from plenty of communities who started doing content and people immediately brushed them off, or people wrote them off, or people shitted on them, and whatever. And some of them still continue to do it. Can't expect people to like you off rip to fucking take your opinion in. Most people will do that just to see if you're strong enough to even to continue to keep doing it. Something about psychopathy, about just being in a society, that's a thing. But not if you're a fucking shut-in. Not if you're someone that leaves your house only 6 hours out of a week. You might not be able to grasp that. That's why he has to cling on, get on his hands and knees, suck other people's dick to make himself feel relevant. Something to think about. It's interesting. It's really, really interesting.
That you're right. What are you talking about? Right? I don't think you're being discussed. I think someone just said that you won't over them because your stability and ignoring drama.
There's nothing stable and there's no stability. When you think about stability, Darksydephil is not someone that word applies to. Not at all. There's no stability in Phil Brunel's life. That's the reason why Phil lives the way he lives. Because he lacks stability. You know what I'm saying? Even within this rigid, fucking autistic fucking scheduling he has, there's no stability there. And that's why he can't sustain his lifestyle. That's why there's always a new drama. That's why there's always a new crisis. That's why there's always a new reason that you guys need to support him. Because he doesn't put out anything that actually puts food on the table. That's why he has to beg for it. And even begging isn't sustainable. It's probably the most consistent thing he does next to lying. And his gambling addiction. But there's nothing sustainable about it. And he knows it.
They're bringing it up this past week because Boogie had a horrible freak out on the show. People seeing Boogie break down, and people remember what you said about the show being bad. Is that it? Okay.
Also, by the way, just to give you guys a bit more of give some more method to the madness on this, is by watching some of these older clips or whatnot, it gives you guys really a roadmap. So what he was going to say to Keem, which most of that already came to pass, but what he may say to Boogie and Wings if he can ever get either one of those guys on the show. He's literally telegraphed most of that. Most of it's in here, and most of it's in other segments too. I'm saying, and that's the value of rewatching detractor content. Not my stuff, but like good stuff. You know what I'm saying? Snort Memology, and whoever your favorite detractor is. There is value in rewatching stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because there are stuff that you're gonna miss on the first view that you may catch later. You know what I'm saying? So just something to think about. You know what I'm saying? Give your flowers to your Snorpernels and to all those others out there and whatnot. Because there is real value that's being presented to you. Not just with your initial click on the video, but maybe a week or two later. Something to think about.
Boogie got forced to have a face tattoo. That doesn't even make sense. No one can force you to have a face tattoo.
But didn't you just say earlier on that Keem forced you to take his money? If someone can force you to take their $50,000, which you didn't take, by the way, theoretically someone could force you or at least shame you into getting a face tattoo. Just saying. I mean, you're calling their audience idiots and morons and shit to try to force them to not watch that content and watch you. So how? Whatever. I'm bringing too much DSP logic to all this bullshit. Oh fuck. Let's just let him play his cards out. Let's let him play his hand out. He thinks he's cooking.
If Boogie got a face tattoo,
really, it's just he's just microwaving food. But whatever. Let's let him continue.
That was his active choice to do something for the show as a stunt, so more morons would watch it.
Not only that, but more people contributed to it. He made money doing that shit. Made quite a bit of money doing that shit. And I can't remember what the exact figures are over the span of the shows that they really put an emphasis on it. And now no one really talks about it. And it looks like the tattoo's gone at this particular point. But either way, they made a lot of money off the public humiliation of him. And that's what Boogie's there for, because he's broke and he needs the money. That's the entertainment value of it. You can sit there and bitch and complain about the authenticity of it all you want. You've been masquerading as a fucking gamer since the early 2000s, truth be told, because you were never part of the FGC. You were a parasite on that shit, and there was a reason why they were able to get rid of you as quickly as they did. You've never been a real gamer, nor entertainer, nor content creator, but you've been masquerading as that shit for years. Just because you did low-effort content for multiple years does not mean they can put a label, or does not mean you can put a label on that shit. It doesn't work that way. At all. At all. And that's why no one respects you. And that's why no one wants to deal with you. Unless they can make money off you. Which, to be honest with you, you got to probably be a pretty unscrupulous person to do this shit. You have to be a little bit off to want to deal with this bullshit. The Abyss is, the DSP universe, the Vortex, the Abyss is a dangerous place. It really is. Like, it can really be dangerous for your psyche. How many fucking communities do you know that actively preach that, hey, if this shit's too much for you, you should step away from it? There are not too many communities that do that shit. And this is someone who's knee deep in the FGC, at least the way I choose to participate with it, and definitely knee deep in the Call of Duty community. And it's toxic and fucking racist, as well as all kinds of bullshit in the fucking Call of Duty community. It's nonsense day to day, and that shit does not let up. It really doesn't. But that doesn't mean there's not redeemable qualities, though, within those respected or those perspective communities, if you will. But there are very few niche communities like this that where people will actively tell you, hey, if this is becoming a bit taxing on you, take a break. There's not too many communities that'll do that. There's not too many communities that feel the need to tell you that. I want you to really take that into consideration.
You understand? He got forced to do something. That's scripted. How do you not understand that?
And then this Cope fake laughing to himself is even more sick. And I can bring that up because look at fucking Review Tech USA. Look at how he's so quick to fucking hit that applause on his fucking soundboard. Matter of fact, most of you guys may not know this, but he has more than one applause on that soundboard. And there's only a subtle difference between them. Either one because the one button he was using was malfunctioning, or he tries to make it seem less obnoxious than it really is. Just something to think about for any of you guys who have paid attention to any of that nonsense. That's just kind of hilarious.
Wow. So is that literally it? See, it's like, What does this have to do with me? Why is my name even being brought up? Don't. I want nothing to fucking do with any of these losers. You understand? I don't. I want nothing.
One of the internet's biggest losers, telling 3 people who were who were millionaires at the time. Obviously, Keem's a multimillionaire, but Wings has definitely made over $1 million in his time on the internet for sure. Well over shit. He's probably closer to like 3 or 4 million, I would say. To be honest with you, Wings is just incredibly shitty with his money. Boogie's definitely made crazy money, and DSP's made shit over $2 million over his time on the internet. Which is why that fucking lie that Wings likes to talk about he never made the money that he says he did is bullshit. And I can prove this because back in the day, Wings had said that, oh, my contract on Machinima was similar to what White Boy 7th Street was making. White Boy 7th Street was making bread. He was making crazy dough. Now, was he making like X-Jaws type money? I don't know. That's kind of hard to say. Because X-Jaws was really popular back in those days and whatnot. Really popular. But White Boy 7th Street was definitely in the mix. Definitely in the mix. He's definitely up there. He had to have been within the top 10 highest paying Call of Duty YouTubers back in those days. In those early days. For sure. He definitely had to have been. Fucking A. Because I don't see... Yeah, he had to have been up there. He had to have been up there. I'm trying to think who's at the top of the heap. I want to say it was Allier. I want to say Allier was probably one of the biggest Call of Duty YouTubers for a period of time. And then he let T Martin in. And that's exactly what happened too. He let T Martin in. Because what T Martin tried to do, what T Martin started doing was exactly what Allier did. Allier could have easily have just squashed T Mart out of the fucking whole thing, and he didn't. Instead, he saw the value in having someone else who was not nearly as well known come up and do that too. Because that runoff from T Martin just circulated back to Allier. And after Allier's stories came out, T Martin's stories came out a little while later. If you guys were around at that time, and if you looked at how they uploaded, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And so it was a cycle that fed itself, to be honest with you. Now, T Martin obviously made his breakout over the fucking CSGO scams and shit later on down the line. That's where T Martin really made his millions. But that's neither here nor there. That doesn't have anything to do with Call of Duty. But yeah, White Boy 7th Street was by far in the top 10. At least in the top 20, for sure. But he was definitely pulling in 6 figures back in those days. Absolutely. Yeah, he was making crazy dough. Because if DSP was able to make the money that he was making and fucking White Boy didn't have to upload nearly as much, was pulling in twice as many views and whatnot, shit, probably even more than that, because seeing a White Boy video with fucking a White Boy 7th Street video with over 100,000 views and whatnot was definitely not uncommon at all. So, and he definitely had a better payout rate than fucking DSP did on Machinima. So, anyway, semantics. The point being is that Wings can't sit there and say that he never made, over his period of time, at least a couple $1 million before he ain't fucked it all up. You know what I'm saying? And that Wings is a pathological liar anyway, so he can't even come out against me and say anything because he knows no one's going to believe him. So womp womp to that. It sucks lying to the internet for dumb shit. And that's why a LOLCOW is a LOLCOW.
To do with people who are exploitative, because that's really the truth. The entirety of that group are exploiters. They exploit themselves, they exploit others. They're just exploiting in order to get shock value content for really dumb people who don't understand they're being exploited themselves to just keep perpetuating dumb content.
Sounds like projection in that DSP exploits people too for profit, especially vulnerable people. Just like how he exploited vulnerable women, and that's how he brought them in his life. And for a while, he was able to keep them there. Semantics. Don't look too deep into that. Don't look too deep into that.
Right? It's kind of like what the side scrollers did with my haters last year. They literally kept bringing me up in a negative way so that they would keep getting money from my haters because my haters are morons. So the more that they brought me up in a negative way, my haters would pay them more. And then eventually it dried up, so they said, fuck it, why are we going to bother with that?
Well, that's not actually true either, but realistically, side scrollers definitely got a lot out of that deal. They made themselves a good amount of money, they got themselves a lot of exposure, and theoretically, detractors, trolls, haters, and critics, not one individual, but the detractor community as a whole, theoretically have somebody who's really considered a normie that has content on Darksydephil that they can point to and say, hey, you can say whatever you want about me, A-log or whatever the case may be, and then point them right over there to Craig in the side-scroll interview and be like, what do you have to say about that? And then the follow-up interview that DSP did with Stuttering Craig only furthers reinforces it. But DSP's stupid, he don't know that. Keep in mind, the Craig interview hasn't happened yet, where we're at currently in our timeline, or at least the timeline we're viewing. But you guys see how that ended up happening. So DSP ain't fucked himself all the way over. And he can go ahead and throw whatever little nuances out to try to talk himself out of it, or to make it seem like he wasn't as overly committed to hating Craig and side-scrollers as he thought. But truth be told, he's hated the shit out of those guys. And it wasn't even, truth be told, it's not even about it's not even about the fact that he can't, about them making money off of him on the after show or the show that happened the next day and all that, and they laughed at him and all that bullshit. It's not even about that. It's the fact that DSP didn't get that additional seat, that reoccurring seat, that occasional guest spot on their show. That's what DSP wanted. DSP desperately wanted that. And truth be told, DSP's foray into politics, even now, despite what happened with Craig, I still think DSP is following into politics because he still sees value in aligning himself with side-scrollers. Now, this is just me. This is all on me. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Wouldn't be the first, it won't be the last. But I honestly do see that as a motivation. Because it's funny how he said, you guys were a gaming show. You guys talked about gaming news. You guys played games. And you guys are hypocrites and completely changed up. But now, ironically enough, he's following in their lead. So DSP criticized these people for doing something that he's doing himself now. I'm not sure if any of you guys have thought about it from that perspective. But just something to think about. You know what I'm saying? Just something to take in and whatnot. It's just another piece to the overall puzzle, if you will. I'm not telegraphing any of my moods in this game, by the way. I'm just, you know what I'm saying? I'm just putting it out there. You know what I'm saying? Just keeping it honest.
Right? But my haters were too dumb to realize how stupid they were, so they kept giving that group money for literally nothing. Do you really think they care about me? No, they don't. They don't care about me at all, but they would only bring me up when they knew it was time to milk the morons again. How are people so dumb? So dumb.
You're dumb, because it reinforces the overall narrative. That's the part that you're not thinking about. And you know better. Because look at how fucking this is how you don't play and chap your ass. And remember, you're the idiot who wanted the side-scrollers interview, to be the definitive interview to get all of your information out. Unfortunately, we didn't get the part 2, but theoretically, getting the Craig interview to reinforce what little we did get out of that proves everything. Even though you lied to them about WWE champions on the side scrollers interview, truth be told, realistically, you lied about everything that you said on there, and that's the real takeaway. And that's that's kind of like the real legacy of side scrollers. Whether it's exactly what Craig wanted from the side-scroller interview or not, I don't know. But I will say that the lasting legacy is that you're a pathological liar who definitely, you admitted to lying about the WWE Championship. The reality is you lied to them about everything. Everything that you said on that show, about the bankruptcy, about all that, you lied about all of it. And they knew it. And that's what hurts him. And the great screenshot, because that kind of reinforces what I'm saying now. That's what hurts him. He knows it. And in some ways, I think he still wants side scrollers. He still wants their audience. And I think this is just his way of trying to get himself in the position to do so. I think when you think about the Craig interview though, he jumped the gun. He let his emotions get the best of him, right? And he fucked up. And he screwed the pooch. He made himself look bad. But if he ever gets another opportunity to talk to Craig against side scrollers, the first thing he'll do is, it was messed up what I said, but I only said that as a retaliation to you. That's literally what his entire narrative is going to be. And by then, however long that takes, it's going to fall flat. It won't matter. No one even cares the fact that Craig said, hey, if you're going to call my integrity into question, you can go fuck yourself. Which is a righteous statement to make, I suppose. But DSP thinking that at the very end of that bullshit interview, he thought, oh, well, so you said that the door's still open, right? The door's still open for me to come on to your show and us to be able to do something in the future. Yeah, sure. Well, you know what? Go fuck yourself. That sounds petty. It looked petty. It looked childish. It was executed in a very poor, unthought out sort of way. And that's why you're the biggest loser in that. That's why people in DSP's audience, some of the Dents, even said that was incredibly childish, Phil. Nothing good came out of that, Phil. Why'd you even bother doing that? Why couldn't you be the bigger man? Because DSP's no man, first off. It's a coward. And there's nothing big about him. At the end of the day, he's a fucking slug. He's a piece of human trash, as he's always been and as he always will be, just like Rich. That's why neither one of them can fucking rise above not only their stations in life, not only their stations on the internet, but just they can't even stand up and over themselves. That's what it is. Because they're weak. They've always been weak. And now, at least with Rich, people are now really starting to take notice to it. Because Rich has been able to hide it for a number of years. But he got lazy, he got comfortable, he got complacent, and he got compromised. 3 C's.
That they don't understand when they're being exploited. You need someone to like come and slap you in the face or kick you in the balls to know that you're dumb and you're being exploited. Like, how stupid can you be? The moment you watch that kind of content, you've already fell for the trap and you've given them exactly what they want. Exactly the thing that they want. You and your stupid attention.
And here's the thing. If these guys are stupid, if these people who watch LOLCOW Live, if they're stupid, if they're morons, if they're idiots, whatever, why do you care? Why? I want you to really think about that. Why do you care? Why do you put so much emphasis on it? If it doesn't bother you, if it doesn't hurt you, why do you care so much? Same reason why, same thing with detractors. Why are you constantly trying to appeal to detractors and shit if you don't care about any of our opinions, if you're never going to convert us, right? If you're never going to have see things your way, why do you bother keep addressing us? Because one day he's hoping to. Or he's hoping to catch somebody with respectability that will. And he's been fishing for that shit for years, and he's never been able to do it. Because people know too much about him. And more importantly, and the thing that scares him the most, is people can see through him. And he hates that. He hates the idea that he can't convince you. If he can't convince you of doing something, if he can't bully you or shame you into doing something, he can't deceive you into doing something or seeing things his way.
Giving them money. You're giving them popularity. Right? For what? For trash. For the lowest common denominator of content. Content that could only be possibly classified as harmful to the world. I'm going to repeat that. That kind of content is harmful to the world, to human society.
You know how pathetic that is to say that? You know how fucking pathetic it is to say that shit? And I'm kind of pissed off that he's kind of throwing his little hoof there. It kind of looks like the 4 Horsemen from back in the day and shit and whatnot. I'm kind of mad about that. Kind of looks like he's throwing up the 4 for the 4 Horsemen. Fucking disgrace, by the way, Phil, for you to be able to do that. Anyway, who's this really hurting? This is some bullshit ass, niche ass community, dude. And that's all you'll ever be known for. You're never gonna make it mainstream. No one's ever gonna know about Darksydephil without it being humiliating and a much larger scope. So you sitting here talking this dumb shit about it hurts the world. Whose world? Yours? Your imaginary shell that you run, that you choose to live into because you're too scared of IRL? The fuck? Like, who's really getting hurt by this? Oh, well, Kat. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that's the reason why she ate herself into obesity. I don't know. But the point is who's this really hurting in the world?
As a whole, right? Remember when they did the Anna Nicole Smith show back on TV and everyone said, oh, that's not harmful. That content's fine because she's in on the joke. I mean, yeah, she's a train wreck. Her career fell apart. You could tell that she's high and drunk half the time on the show. But who cares? It's fine. She's dead now.
Wow, we have to use the dead to try to benefit ourselves now. Damn, Phil. We didn't learn anything from T? We didn't learn anything from Scott? Now we didn't learn anything from Etika? Now we have to use a dead Anna Nicole to make our point. Why didn't you use China? What about her? She went out pretty rough too. You didn't want to use her though? Okay, whatever. Well, I don't need to be giving you any ideas, but damn, bro. Hey, I guess just because you're dead doesn't mean you can't be useful, right, Phil? Right, Phil? Right. Holy shit.
She's dead. Because people around her turned her into a living joke. And everyone said, oh, that's fine. That's good content. She died. because of those people. Do you understand? So what's it going to take? One of the people on the show has to die, and then you'll realize that it's junk content, that you shouldn't be watching it? Is that what it takes?
Oh boy, you're gonna give us crocodile tears over that shit? Hey Phil, since you know, been caught flapping and shit, and clearly that's what you do because you're not getting any panty time with your wife, how about you go ahead and why don't you go ahead and do a tribute to all these dead fucking porn stars out here and shit that keep committing suicide or unfortunately are killed by boyfriends or obsessed fans and all that bullshit. You know, the stuff that Derek's eventually gonna grow his ass into sooner than later. How about we do that? How about we get, I mean, if we're gonna go ahead and basically fucking give light to fucking dead posers and whatnot, poser movie stars, I should say. You know what I'm saying? Why don't we go ahead and give a shout out to the dead porn stars that are out here too, Phil? Why don't you do that? I mean, you flapped enough to that shit that it could be a thing. Is that why you brought up Anna Nicole? She was good flap material for you? She was something for the spank bank and whatever? You feel uncomfortable at the fact that she's dead? Explain to me why her of all people, to be honest with you. There's a bunch of people that are looked at like jokes and shit and whatnot and may or may not have killed themselves in various ways. Why her? I'm just asking. I'm just asking.
Are you that fucking dumb that you don't understand that human exploitation is bad?
Here, I actually have an even better one. I don't have a better one, but I'm wondering now. Why didn't you just double tap and hit Etika? Remember the whole thing about memes being harmful? Or look at what happened to Etika? Why didn't you do that? Are you scared because you got shaken up over that Etika situation the first time around? And Keem also takes shit because of that nonsense with Etika? Because theoretically, you could put it on Keem for that whole thing about jumping off of a bridge, and then that's what Keem told Etika, and Etika eventually ended up doing it. Not to say that was Keem's fault, but a lot of people like throwing it at Keem's feet, and he hates it. Oh, he hates the fuck out of it. And that's why he had to sit there and get comforted by Etika's mother. That's why he had to get comfort by Etika's girlfriend, I think, at the time and shit. That it wasn't his fault. He didn't do anything wrong. It's funny how Keem went out of his way to go ahead and do all that shit, even though Keem really doesn't want to take responsibility for the fact that he's theoretically the one that put that in Etika's head. That doesn't mean Etika acted upon it because of that, but it's an interesting situation. Whatever. I'm sure Keem has come to peace with that shit. I'm sure he's visited as Etika's grave and whatnot, and he's paid his respects. I'm sure that's a thing. I'm sure that's happened. But I am surprised, though, that DSP didn't go ahead and do that. Maybe he could, yet again, maybe he did it because he didn't want to associate himself with Keem. Maybe that's why. I don't know. Just thought I'd throw it out there.
This is common sense, common morality stuff. This is not big brain thinking shit.
We're talking about morality now. Okay, drama content is so bad that it affects the world in a negative way, and it somehow hurts the morality of humanity. I wonder if he would think about that now and not in November. This was back in July. I wonder how he would feel about that in November.
This is like if you have a base of human understanding in your head, a tiny little nugget of intelligence, you would know that that is bad stuff that should not get attention, right? You should be doing everything in your power to stop people from watching that shit. What is wrong with you?
You trying to get them canceled? Are you trying to get them deplatformed? I'm just asking, because that's kind of what this sounds like. It sounds like he's trying to rally the troops to get people deplatformed, which wouldn't be the first time DSP has done this. He theoretically tried to do this. Not theoretically, he did. He tried to do this to Almighty Tevin when Tevin was invited back onto Twitch and got partnership and whatnot. DSP tried to rally a hate campaign on Twitter to try to get Tevin deplatformed again. I say again because DSP was the one, along with his also Gowdy Gestapo, who got Tevin and those other two fellows, Bill Purnell and They Call Me Tex, basically kicked off of Twitch. And then tried to double tap Tevin again because, you know, why can't we go after the black guy? You know what I'm saying? Why can't we go after those dirty stationaries, those thieves, those criminals, right? All things that he said about Tevin, by the way. Just makes you think. Praise be.
If you watch that content, what the fuck is wrong with you? If you don't know who that is, go look it up. Anna Nicole Smith. Go look her up and see her horrible life story of how she degraded from being an actress into a train wreck person, drugs, alcohol, mistreated by everyone around her, and then they publicized it and made a reality TV show around it, and then she killed herself. Yeah. Yeah.
And so what? I don't see you making a video rallying against fucking the basically global television. or whatever channel that was on. I don't know if it was on TL. I didn't watch it, but whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck? Like, why don't you go ahead and make a video slandering the fucking all of media and talking about how they exploit the dead? Oh, well, he's not going to do that because he's a coward, and he definitely don't want that on him and whatnot, because you don't want anybody in mainstream to actually take a look at his ass on that shit. On top of the fact that no one cares. That was a long ass time ago. She didn't have to sign on for that reality show. Did you forget that, Phil? Just like how no one forced Boogie to get that tattoo. Just like how Keem was forcing you to take his money. No one forced her to go on that reality show. You realize that, right? No one forced her to quote unquote exploit herself like that. No one forced her to marry that billionaire and shit, because remember, she married that guy for love, right? Right. So no one forced her to do anything. She made those decisions. She made those decisions on her own. And she did it because she wanted people to watch her. So they did. So we're going to completely and utterly blame everybody for the decisions that Anna Nicole Smith made. Good luck with that. Good luck with that, champ.
Wow. So we have the evidence of how heinous this stuff is. So let's do a whole show based on it on YouTube, and let's give them thousands of viewers every show. Wow, you guys are real fucking smart, huh? Genius level.
What a pathetic way to try to shame people. Like, is this supposed to make people really feel bad? Is this really supposed to deter people from watching LOLCOW live? What an idiot. In the exact same way, he says people like me calling his audience dense only reinforce and reaffirm their loyalty, if you want to even call it that, or commitment to him, is the exact same thing he does to other people. And he wonders why he never gets the desired results. Oh, what a dent. Clearly the king of dents. The king and queen of dents, to be honest with you. We don't even need Cat for this. Holy shit.
Anyway, that's my say on it. I'm never involving myself in any of that shit whatsoever.
I'm never involving myself with that shit whatsoever. Let me bring that back just so you guys caught it or catch it. Never again. Or not never again. I'm never going to involve myself into any of this bullshit.
Anyway, that's my say on it. I'm never involving myself in any of that shit whatsoever. So go ahead, saying, you know, they put my name in their mouths. Understand something. It's not me doing it. I was correct 100% on that content. I was 100% fucking correct.
And this is the reason why, ladies and gentlemen, you should never really speak in absolutes, which is exactly what DSP does. And then he gets mad when people remember it and call him out when he finally does the very thing he says he'll, in this particular case, never do. Imagine that.
All right? I know what I'm talking about. You stay the fuck away. Right? You stay the fuck away from that content. You don't engage it. You don't talk about it. You don't support it. You don't mention it.
And it's weird, too, because these are supposed to be grown-ass adults. He says he's not a children's entertainer. So how do you feel telling other grown-ass men and women what they should or shouldn't do, unless you know they're dense? Just think about that. I like that phantom hoof, by the way. That's a good screenshot.
And eventually, when the crap hits the fan, all right, all you're going to hear is excuses from everyone involved. Oh, we didn't know. Oh, it wasn't serious. Oh, it wasn't meant to take you. Whatever you say, the writing's on the fucking wall.
If that's the case, then why do you want to exploit Boogie and Wink so bad then? It's funny. He doesn't mind Keem. No, wait. He has a problem with Keem exploiting Boogie and Wings. But there's never any issue or problem when he exploits them. Ain't that weird? Ain't that strange? Isn't it even more strange that when LOLCOW podcast fell apart and shit because of that guy, the gaming attorney or the gamer attorney, whatever, when that whole nonsense happened, DSP was still trying to finagle these two guys into doing work with him, to still getting in the bed with him, right? Even though he was going to do the exact same thing to them that Keem's doing to them now. Except he just wanted Keem out the picture so he could be the top guy. So he could be the head guy. Because remember, DSP believes that he's better than Wings and Boogie. He believes he's smarter than them. Just putting it out there.
Right? We have the track record. We see what happens with this kind of content and shit. We already know where it's going. So if you want to be part of that degenerate shit, you want to go to hell, go for it. Satan's waiting for you with 2 hot pokers for your ass when you show up. All right? Me, I'm staying the fuck away from it. I have better things to do with my life. Fair enough? I'm done. I've said my piece on that garbage. Okay.
What the fuck is it supposed to be? Is it supposed to be a drug commercial? Is it supposed to be a warning against alcohol and fucking gambling? Oh, I'm sorry. You're too late for that party. Or parties, I should say. Guess we can't really talk about that, huh? Can't talk about addiction, right, Phil? We just have to lie about it so the detractors can't get a win. Just like how we defend pedophiles, right, Phil? Oh, that's right. You can't really talk about that, too. You can't ever really put out a beware against people who exploit children because you had someone in your own fan base that was already doing that. Yikes. And he wasn't even really the first, to be honest, but oh, that's too much knowledge. It's too much information. That's too much information. Okay? You got someone who himself has admitted to being a pathological liar and whatnot, who also lies about his addictions, his gambling, his drinking, his spending, his lying, amongst other things and whatnot, and he harbors pedophiles. Yikes. But yeah, he's the voice of reason in this whole situation as it pertains to him and LOLCOW Live. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, Jesus Christ, I've missed a lot over the last like 10 months or whatever the fuck. Jesus Christ, like, who would have thought he was dropping pearls amongst dented swine and whatnot? Who knew he was trying to turn over a good leaf? Or a good leaf, whatever. Jesus. Absolutely incredible. Imagine what's amazing what 10 months does. Gotta tell you.
All right. Yeah, so it's this simple now. If anyone is going to try to bother me a shit about it, it's against the rules. It's always been a rule that it's a ban when you bring up drama content in my streams and stuff. So it's this simple. I don't want to see it talked about. I don't need to know about what they're doing over there. I don't care how many times they name drop me. I don't give a fuck. If I see it, you're gone. Straight up, 100% new rule. I don't ever want to hear anything about LOLCOWs, LOLCOW Show, Keemstar, Boogie, or Wings. Fuck all of them. They're fucking erased. You understand? I got better.
Until like a month or so later. Maybe a little over a month. Let's say until a couple months later. Let's say that. That'll probably work a little bit better. They're completely erased, right? They're completely out. No, let's bring that back. You know what I'm saying? He put the edict out there. Let's go ahead and make sure that we get all of that. This little piggy Nazi salute.
Care how many times they name drop me. I don't give a fuck. If I see it, you're gone. Straight up, 100% new rule. I don't ever want to hear anything about LOLCOWs, LOLCOW Show, Keemstar, Boogie, or Wings. Fuck all of them. They're fucking erased. You understand? I got better things to do with my life than deal with their bullshit. That's for sure. So, see it? Gone. Done. I don't want people coming to my show. Oh, did you hear what this guy did on his stream? And this guy? Fuck you. You're gone. That's it. Straight up. New rules. Done with it. All right? Understand that. I don't want to hear anything about...
Any man who can't hold to his word is no man. Pure and simple. Pure and simple.
...about it ever again. And if they're sad about that, because I know, for example, I know Wings is not a bad guy. I know he's not.
Oh, now you got to go back and suck dick again, huh? Okay, now we got to go back. I thought they were erased. I thought they were done. I thought you were above it. Now we got to go back and suck Wings' dick. Okay. It's kind of unfortunate because last time I checked, Kelly couldn't even really do anything about that. So I don't know. Maybe you have, but you have a lot more experience than Kelly probably and whatnot. So maybe you could help her out with that. Maybe you can give her some pointers. Because for damn sure your sister-in-law couldn't. That Officer Sanders thing was just disappointing. God dog.
And if they're sad about that, because I know, for example, I know Wings is not a bad guy. I know he's not. Too bad. You wrapped up yourself with the wrong crowd. I want nothing to do with you, man. That's your fault.
Wow. Now, you better think about that when this whole shit with Kino Casino blows up in your fucking face. And then when people don't want to talk to you because, well, now you've been in bed with allegedly white nationalists, that might not play out well for you. Or play out for people that have a little bit too extreme or too edgy fucking opinions about shit. But you didn't mind. You didn't mind wrapping up Wings of Redemption and say guilt by association. I can't deal with you because of who you're associated with. But, oh boy, you better hope that shit never come back on you, son. You better hope that's never a thing. Let's go ahead and bring that back.
Anything about it ever again. And if they're sad about that, because I know, for example, I know Wings is not a bad guy. I know he's not. Too bad. You wrapped up yourself with the wrong crowd. I want nothing to do with you, man. That's your fault. That's on you. Wings, there's the problem is I know there's people there who aren't horrible people, but I can't be involved with that shit. I can't. You have to lay down the law in your life of what things you want to be associated with and you don't. I will have zero.
Remember this moment. I mean, you don't really have to because you've already kind of lived through his contradictions of it all. But remember this moment.
Association with those fucking people. Zero. I can't lower myself to that level of horrendous action.
Lower myself. Ooh. Woo. Yeah, sorry about that, Wings. Sorry about that, Boogie. Lowering himself.
And the consequence that will come, because trust me, there will be consequence for this. You have to understand this. Something will happen. There will be consequence, right? Okay, I'm done. Orcs or Dorks, thanks for 38 months as a member. And now he's telling me LTG drama news. I couldn't care less. I literally could not care less about LTG drama. I don't care about anything that you just said about LTG. But thank you, Orcs or Dorks, for 38 months as a member. I don't care. Okay.
I mean, you cared enough to stalk him on Twitter and stalk his DMs for months on end, but semantics.
Excuse me.
And that was up till recent, now that I think about it. If you really think, because the LTG story, we're in November. So the LTG story wasn't that long ago. It wasn't that long ago when you were stalking that guy and in his DMs begging him to be on your fucking show and shit. Oh, well, whatever. Let's just memory hole that too.
I received a $1 tip. Someone, ew, I gotta clean my laptop. It's all dusty. Someone says, will you play stuff with Brian again? Possibly.
No, that Negro ain't sat there and worn out his welcome and has already shown his usefulness. That's what that is, which is so fucked up, to be honest with you, because under reasonable circumstances, I've said about this in my streams, I think Brian is probably the most genuine of the group of people who do want to interact with DSP. And sadly, he's the one who's actually getting the worst of it. But I think, my personal opinion, if John and Brian can at least reconnect, and even if they're not as close as they used to be or whatever, it's not like they had a falling out, they just lost touch with each other. But if those guys can at least reconnect in some type of way, shape, or form, then I would say Brian's time with DSP was worth it, at least in that faction. Other than that, DSP is only out to use Brian, and that's it. Because DSP thinks he's at the cool table, we don't need Brian anymore. We don't need that Negro anymore. We don't need that stationary no more. You know what I'm saying? I'm with the cool kids now. Until DSP gets all used up and no one wants to talk to him, and then we'll go running, crying back to Brian, or clawing and crawling back to Brian. But we'll see. But it's unfortunate that Brian gets used in such a way. But yet again, if you're a Dent, if you're a pay pig, if you're a whale, that right there is the best demonstration, if not illustration, of how DSP treats people that I think could ever be given to you. But then again, it's still one of many, 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 many examples, to be honest.
Right now, I'm not even thinking about it. Right now, we had a fun session last Friday night. It went well, right? We had good variety.
Especially since DSP can't hold a candle to Brian, and he can't even hold a candle to any of Brian's friends. So, like, it's not even like DSP can actually really, like, use Brian as a punching bag or nothing, because Brian's fundamentally better than him. So, that doesn't help DSP either. You know what I'm saying? Like, Brian really doesn't have a whole lot of uses for DSP. You know what I mean? Really don't.
I screwed up because I had played Street Fighter earlier in the day, and by the last hour, I was burnt out. So basically, 1 hour was really good content, and 1 hour was really bad content because I played awfully. But outside of that, you know, I've spoken to Brian a couple times over the week. We're cool.
I'm glad Brian doesn't mind being relegated to just being content. I'm just saying, I'm throwing it out there. And that's an interesting way of the demonstrating your friendship as just content. But whatever, you know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I heard that wrong. Maybe let's bring that back. Maybe I didn't hear that correctly. You know what I'm saying? Referring to somebody as content.
We had a fun session last Friday night. It went well, right? We had good variety. I screwed up because I had played Street Fighter earlier in the day, and by the last hour, I was burnt out. So basically, 1 hour was really good content, and 1 hour was really bad content because I played awfully. But outside of that, you know, I've spoken to Brian a couple times over the week. We're cool. But I'm not really looking to do a lobby right now or anything like that. As you know, my schedule's already all over the place. I'm trying to figure out.
It's amazing, too, that we cry about how busy we are, but yet we found time for Kino Casino. I like the Phantom hooves, by the way. Good screenshot. But It's funny how we're always supposedly so goddamn busy, but we're willing to drop our schedule at the first notification for anybody who we think we can get some type of relevancy off of. It's amazing, huh? It's really remarkable if you think about it.
What new stuff to put into my schedule? We got to finish Fallout, right?
Can't make room for Brian, but we can make room for those 2 Canadians. That's something.
I wanted to try this Nintendo World Championships. I'm trying to sort stuff out. So I'm in no rush to rush back to that kind of stuff. I'll let you know if we feel like doing it again in the future. But right now, you know, I didn't immediately run and make plans to do another session or anything like that. No. Okay?
And see, because DSP don't know how to talk to people, let alone about people, it sounds really disingenuous when he says that. He's basically talking about Brian like he's just a piece of meat. He's something there to be used, and once that use has been fulfilled, basically, oh well, I'll just put him back on the shelf. I'll just put him back in the box. He's like a toy. You know what I'm saying? I'll just put him back in. I had a good time with him already. Now let me put him back in the toy chest, and I'll bring him out when I'm ready. Don't worry about that. You know what I'm saying? Didn't shout him out. Didn't say, well, go and check out Brian's streams in the meantime or whatever. Don't do any of that. He did it. He tried to do that when he was trying to drum up interest for their collaboration, but now Brian's just a toy. Put him back in the put him in the closet, put him back in the toy chest, put him in the toy box or whatever the fuck, and I'll deal with him when I'm ready. Something to think about. That's how he treats people. That's how he looks at people. At least people that he thinks he's above.
Okay. And by the way, I feel like we should talk about this. I haven't officially talked about this on a podcast, I don't think. But we do have an update on a community member, Jade. As you know, Jade is a regular here on my streams.
See, everybody serves a purpose. So go ahead and discount our black friend there. Put the stationery back in the box. We don't need him. But let's go ahead and bring out the sick handicap kid. Let's go ahead and bring the disabled kid out and see if we can drum up some interest to show that. Because in his head, he realizes, holy shit, some of the shit that I just said about Brian don't sound very good. Fuck, what should I do? Okay, yeah. I got that handicapped kid in pocket. We got that disabled kid in pocket. Let's bring him in. And that's exactly what that was. And you could tell by how he kind of like shoe-holded him in. Why wasn't he brought up before the Brian situation? You know what I'm saying? Why wasn't he brought up in the beginning of the show, if you will? Why wait till now? Makes you think. It kind of reminds me of back when he was doing the Vest Streak celebration bullshit, and he was getting scared that shit was going to wear off, and it wasn't really working. So we had to go ahead and pull out that fake fucking fan letter that DSP decided to cry about. It was like that situation to try to reinforce people's support of the Vest Streak and why we need to keep it going. You know what I mean? So I don't want you guys to think that I'm treating Brian like a thing. That's not the case, because look at Jade. You know what I'm saying? Look at Jade and look at my concern for him, a community member. You know, a fan of mine, a longtime fan of mine. Just put it out there, bro. Fucking disgusting, son. Disgusting. Like I said, if you don't have a use, you're just in the way. Pure and simple.
Okay. And by the way, I feel like we should talk about this. I haven't officially talked about this on a podcast, I don't think. But we do have an update on a community member, Jade. As you know, Jade is a regular here on my streams. He attends many different kinds of content, including fighting games, chill streams, and other things. And he hasn't been seen for about a week. And that was weird because he said he was definitely going to be here last week for not only that Street Fighter session, but for his birthday and everything, right?
Oh, that's the other reason to bring him up. Because fucking Brian basically made DSP say happy birthday and all that shit. Brian basically shamed DSP in front of his audience and shit. So DSP's still holding on to that too. I forgot about that part. I forgot that happened.
And he wasn't here for a long time. Everyone's like, what happened? Well, I want to let you know, we know because his account, I'm assuming it's not him. It was probably someone doing it on behalf of him. Came into the chat the other day, a couple days ago. I think it was Tuesday. It might have been Monday, but I think it was Tuesday, to give us an update and basically said, yeah, Jade, sadly, some serious health issues, had to be rushed to the hospital and have emergency surgery. And Jade is in recovery. So the expectation is that Jade will be back on streams. We don't know when, but
how is that even important? Shouldn't him just recovering be more important than showing back on your fucking waste of time streams? Like, look at how, like, I want you to listen to how fucking sick that sounds. This kid, this Dent, because he is a Dent, and I don't give a fuck about what any of you guys got to say about any of that. He's a Dent. I'm standing by that. But that doesn't mean that his fucking life is meaningless and shit. I'm not that much of a fucking savage. Well, actually am, but whatever. I'm not in this particular case. The point is this. The kid is sick. If you want me to be decent about it, fine. The kid is fucking sick. Who gives a fuck about when he shows back up on your streams? I think it's more important that the kid recovers. And then he can come back and be a Dent on your fucking streams. What the fuck? But the first thing he says is, oh, well, you know, we got this health update. He's incredibly sick. He's in the hospital, emergency surgery. But we hope he's going to be back on stream soon. For what? For what? He's supposed to be the in-house Dent that people are supposed to feel bad about? Like, make it make sense on what value Jade really has to him. He doesn't care about whether Jade's really sick or not, or whether he even recovers. He's more worried about when's his dumb ass going to show back up to work, which is what it sounds like. But then again, that's how DSP treats these people who show up to his streams. It's like them showing up to work. So someone tell Jade that. Hey, Jade, remember that one time when you were sick and you had to go through surgery and all that bullshit? Do you know that he was more important about you showing back up on his streams than you actually recovering? Did you remember that, Jade? Did you know that? Just saying. Maybe you could tell your mom's boyfriend, the editor-in-chief of fucking Game Informer, about that shit. Have him write an article about that. Jesus Christ, bro. It's fucking disgusting. Absolutely pathetic, savage, ruthless bot. Holy shit, what an irredeemable piece of shit.
To give us an update and basically said, yeah, Jade, sadly, some serious health issues, had to be rushed to the hospital and have emergency surgery, and Jade is in recovery. So the expectation is that Jade will be back on streams. We don't know when, but, you know, Jade, we wish you the best.
The expectation that Jade will be back on streams like an employee. A fucking employee. You can't tell me that's not what that don't sound like. The expectation of him being back on stream. It's like, oh, he got sick? Oh, okay, well, you know, he only gets like 4 weeks and shit, and then we expect his ass to be back in the office. Jeez, I've actually heard that too, by the way. But anyway, well, it was 6 weeks for this particular individual, but still I thought that was foul, given what happened. Whatever, that's a whole other story for another day. But fucking A, bro.
I think it was Tuesday, to give us an update and basically said, yeah, Jade, sadly, some serious health issues, had to be rushed to the hospital and have emergency surgery, and Jade is in recovery. So the expectation is that Jade will be back on streams. We don't know when, but, you know, Jade, we wish you the best. I mean, that is awful to hear that. I'm very, very sorry that we heard about that and that this has happened to you. We want you to come back. We want you to get better, buddy. We miss you because you're a positive presence on these streams. And I hope that you recover.
He can't even sell it. The amazing part about this shit, he can't even sell it. You can see how ungenuine he is about this shit. He can't even sell it. He can't even get it out without it sounding like salt in his mouth. Like he's disgusted that he has to actually say it. Here, let me show you.
Come back. We want you to get better, buddy. We miss you because you're a positive presence on these streams. And I hope that you recover very quickly and you're able to.
Can't even look at the camera. He can't even look directly in the camera to say he can't sell it. And that's why you keep looking at the chat, being like, you guys believe me, right? Like, right? This is what you guys want me to say, right? Can't even sell it. Wow. I wasn't expecting that, but God damn, dude, that's fucking... Well, I wasn't expecting it in this particular situation. I expect that from him, but I didn't expect it like this. Oh, that's crazy, son. Yikes.
Come back and hang out with us, all right? All right? Get better. Get well soon. Prayers for Jade, everybody. Okay.
Interesting too. He ain't sat there and did this. He ain't did the basically two cuffed hands over themselves. He did that for Jade, but if he was begging for money though, we would actually have prayer hands. Why is that?
We want you to come back. We want you to get better, buddy. We miss you because you're a positive presence on these streams. And I hope you recover very quickly and you're able to come back and hang out with us. All right? All right? Get better. Get well soon.
See, if it was him thanking people for money, there'd be prayer hands. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this for someone that actually may have actually been in a position where they could have died? So we'll pray for money, but we just do this, I don't know, clubbed hooves, I should say, for fucking Jade? And Jade went back to him, so that's why Jade's a Dent. I don't give a fuck what anybody say, but think about that shit. Really think about that. Jesus Christ, man. This was money. If that was a big donation, we'd have straight up prayer hands. This is what Jade's life is worth. This is what his presence is worth. And remember, we're expecting him back soon. We're expecting him back on stream soon. Like Jade's showing up for a job or something. Like there's a fucking project and he's holding everybody else at the office up or something. God damn, that's wild, man. that's wild, man. It's hard to laugh at that shit, but that's wild, though.
Doing prayers for Jade, everybody. Okay. Okay. All right, guys. Well, we got a little bit of extra time.
Roman Catholic upbringing really shined through, Phil. Hey, Phil, man, I'm gonna be honest. Like, sooner than later, it's gonna come out anyway, man. Like, you might as well just go ahead and tell us where the fucking priest touched you and shit. You might as well, obviously. Like, you have issues. You have some major issues, and it makes me wonder if that's one of the things of it. But, Just saying, you got a lot of fucking problems, DSP. You got a lot of fucking problems. Jesus Christ. Better hope if he actually goes into politics, you better hope none of them boys in politics end up sweeping up and finding shit. They won't look for this shit in particular. It takes a particular type of person to find this shit. But I mean, DSP has done some fucking terrible, it said some terrible shit, bro, that could easily be flung in his face. And it's not super easy to fucking wave off. Anyway, let's continue. Let's finish this out.
Before we boot up Fallout, now, as I said, with Fallout 4, I hope that some of you will stick around to hang out with me. It's not just about the game. It's also kind of a chill hangout session, right? So I hope that you guys will come and hang out and have a good time with Fallout 4 today.
So wait, how do you call yourself a gamer then if, as you just said, it's not about the game? It's a chill hangout session. But how's it a chill hangout session when you don't know anything? You don't have anything to talk about. You know what I'm saying? Like, even, have you ever actually heard him try to talk about the Fallout show? He sounds clueless. It sounded like he was really just going through the motions. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, he was seeing what was going on the television, but he really wasn't watching it. There's a difference between seeing something and watching. Just my opinion, of course.
You will stick around to hang out with me. It's not just about the game. It's also kind of a chill hangout session, right? So I hope that you guys will come and hang out and have a good time with Fallout 4 today. If you can support it, please do. I'm really not expecting much on this stream. I'm being dead honest with you. It's probably going to be one of the slowest streams I've done. As I said, every time is the slowest stream he's ever done. And it's funny, when we're begging, we can do just what you're seeing right now. Great screenshot, by the way. We can go ahead and look directly at the camera and shit. But when we were talking about Jade, we could barely look up at the camera at all. We had to look down, we had to look around, we had to do all that bullshit. But when it comes to begging, you know what I'm saying? The piggy eyes have to pierce your soul to make sure you know that he needs this money and he needs it badly. Goal is to raise enough in tips to buy Nintendo World Championships for tomorrow. So between this stream and tonight's stream, just to raise enough money to buy Nintendo World Championships, that's what I'm looking to do. Okay? So anything helps right now.
Now, remember, before Kino Casino and before his redemption arc and all that bullshit, he was in a great place. You know, right? That's what he was trying to tell us. He was in a great place in life, drama-free, all that bullshit. But right here, we're begging for fucking donations to play games. Which is all par for the course anyway. I'm just throwing it out there. Pepperidge Farm remembers.
And then we can do Nintendo tomorrow. All right? Cool. Okay, KMF, 6 months as a member, said I had a dream recently that you did a Baldur's Gate 3 run 2, and it was glorious.
Yeah, that's never going to happen. That's never going to happen. All right. That's that, ladies and gentlemen. Holy shit, bro. I didn't think it was going to really be, I was going to take it the way I took it. I thought this was going to be pretty cut and dry, but fucking A, son. Oh my God, there's so many fucked up things in that bullshit. He completely read the room wrong as it pertains to the whole LOLCOW live situation. Like, you were going to be working under Keem no matter what. Keem was going to always be your boss no matter what. You were never going to change that. There was never going to be anything that was going to be different. You didn't throw no money in this shit, man. It's just like with SRK back in the day. Excuse me. And with SureYouCan.com and Evo. This dude literally was like, yeah, they started it and everything, but other people should have been able to have a say so in it. How? They weren't there when it initially started. They didn't help in the creation of it, and more importantly, they didn't throw no money behind it. That was the Cannon brothers' money, and then dudes on the West Coast who helped support that shit. That's why the West Coast ran it, because it was their shit. That's what it was. But the fact that DSP had the fucking ridiculous idea that he had a right to talk about how fucking EVO should be run, or how SRK should basically bend the knee to his thoughts and his ideas and shit was fucking ridiculous. Whatever. Woo. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys very much for listening in. I very much appreciate it. I'll catch you guys for the next one, whenever that may be, hopefully sooner than later. That shit with Jade at the end was wild, bro. Fucking wild. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Snort Report. This is DSP News. Always late, never breaking, unreliable coverage that you can't count on. Oh, yes. The GTG Network and Productions. For the Snort Report, for SnortBucks Coffee Company, for Hard Snorts Gin and Tonic, and for Tim Snortons, been your host / anchor GTG, and I'm signing off. Oh, baby. Oh, man. Take care of yourselves, people. Later.